Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty mind-blowing. We're talking about a description of Jesus Christ that's been hidden away for centuries, tucked away in one of the world's oldest Bibles. And let me tell you, this isn't the gentle shepherd you're probably used to. This portrait is raw, it's divine, and, well, it's completely different from anything you thought you knew. So, for most of us, right, the image of Jesus is pretty clear. He's a figure of peace, a gentle teacher, merciful, you know the picture. But the ancient Ethiopian scriptures, they paint a radically different portrait. We're talking about a divine cosmic ruler, a being of blinding light, and even terrifying power. It's a huge shift in perspective. So this really makes you stop and think, right? What if one of the oldest Christian texts out there tells a totally different story? It kind of throws a wrench in centuries of tradition and suggests, maybe there's a whole version of this story that the Western world just never got to hear. Okay, so let's really get into it. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this powerful image of Christ, we have to look at where it comes from. And that source is the Ethiopian Bible. Now, this isn't just another version of the Bible. Think of it as a totally independent witness to the earliest days of Christianity, one that was preserved way, way far away from the influence of the Roman Empire. And get this, it's written in a language called Ge'ez. This is an ancient Semitic language that's actually older than both Latin and Greek. So what does that mean? It means this isn't just some other translation. It's like a parallel river of Christian thought that's been flowing completely on its own, untouched, for thousands of years. So you can see from this timeline, their faith really grew on its own terms. I mean, while all these church councils were happening over in Europe, debating which books to kick out of the Bible, the Ethiopian church was doing the exact opposite. They were busy preserving them. And the result is, they have a collection of scriptures, a canon, that includes books the rest of the world completely forgot about. All right, so this brings us to the big question. What in the world do these ancient preserved books actually say about Jesus? Because, let me tell you, the descriptions they have are, well, they're absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, so take the Book of Enoch, for example. It's a huge part of the Ethiopian Bible. It describes a being who was there before creation. This is not the humble carpenter from Nazareth we're talking about. This is a cosmic, righteous judge, a being whose name was known, and I'm quoting here, before the sun and the signs were created. I mean, we're talking about someone who existed before time itself. Just let that sink in. And these incredible details, like his hair being woolly and pure, they come from manuscripts that were literally hidden away in remote mountain monasteries. A lot of this stuff wasn't even translated into English until the late 20th century. So this image is a world away from the pale, European-looking Jesus you see in Renaissance paintings. This is a description of a divine being whose features seem to be woven from the very elements of the earth. And you have to understand, this isn't just about what he looked like. The language they're using here, it's trying to get at a much deeper truth. They're describing a being of pure energy, of divine light that you can actually see. It's like they're trying to put into words the idea of the infinite being contained inside a human form. It's wow. And this right here, this is the central paradox of the Christ figure in these texts. On one hand, you have this overwhelming cosmic power, a voice like a roaring ocean. But on the other hand, that same power can be as gentle and personal as a whisper right in your own heart. It's that combination of immense power and deep intimacy that's so unique. But as mind-bending as these physical descriptions are, they're really just the start. The theological message hidden in these forgotten books is, if you can believe it, even more revolutionary. It basically flips the entire concept of salvation on its head. So think about it. In a lot of Western tradition, salvation is often about being saved from sin, right? It's about following a set of external rules and laws. But what these Ethiopian texts are saying is, it's something completely different. It's an internal awakening. It's not about following a checklist of rules. It's about waking up and remembering the truth of who you already are. And this quote, this one single line from a text called the Book of the Covenant, this is the real game changer. It totally reframes Jesus' role. He's not just a redeemer coming to save you, he's a revealer, someone who comes to show you the divine nature you already have. The message isn't, I'm divine and you're not. It's, hey, that same spark that made the stars, it's inside of you too. And I'm just here to help you light it. Okay, so this brings up a huge critical question, right? If these teachings are so profound and so incredibly empowering, why aren't they in the Bible we all know? Why did they just disappear from the conversation for most of the world? Well, the answer, and it's maybe a bit uncomfortable, really comes down to politics and power. See, as the early church councils were working to create one single standard Bible, they leaned towards ideas that supported a central authority, a top down structure. And these texts, the ones that suggested every single person has a divine spark inside them and can connect with God directly, that was a huge threat to that structure. I mean, if everyone has a direct line, who needs the middleman? These ideas were seen as dangerous because they gave power back to the individual. But here's the amazing part. Far away from the influence of Rome in Ethiopia, these texts survived. They were protected. And today, now that they're finally being translated and studied by a wider audience, they're coming back into the light. And what's wild is how surprisingly modern their message feels. Yeah, researchers are using all sorts of modern tools now, even AI, to digitize and translate these ancient manuscripts. They're basically unlocking a treasure chest of wisdom that's been sealed shut for over 1,000 years. And a whole new, or rather a very old, picture of Jesus is starting to emerge from it all. Not the familiar European icon, but an African and Middle Eastern Messiah. I mean, just listen to this description. He is the living word, the vibration through which reality itself exists. Doesn't that sound familiar? It's an idea that lines up in a really startling way with modern quantum physics, which tells us that at the most fundamental level, the universe is all just energy and vibration. It's pretty wild. It's almost like these ancient Ethiopian scriptures encoded a profound truth about reality that our own science is just now starting to catch up with. The idea that divinity isn't some old man in the sky you're supposed to worship, it's the fundamental fabric of the universe itself, the energy, the vibration, the consciousness that makes up and connects everything, including us. And that right there, that's the ultimate takeaway from these incredible forgotten texts. It's a total shift in perspective. The goal isn't to just worship some great light way out there. It's to realize that the exact same divine fire is burning quietly inside of you, just waiting to be awakened. Divinity isn't something out there to be worshipped, it's something in here to be realized. It makes you wonder. Maybe the real reason this version of the story was hidden for so long is because it asks so much from us. The message wasn't just to worship a light, but to become one. It asks us to see not just Jesus in a new light, but to see ourselves that way too. And you know what? After 2,000 years, that might just be the most radical and powerful idea of them all. Are we finally ready to hear it?